#1 on the second day of team competition at the 2024 CrossFit Games. Alongside the Masters CrossFit champion Annie Sakamoto, my name is Joel Godet. Lauren Smith, our eyes and ears down on the floor. 1 day of competition, 3 events yesterday, and we started with our 1-minute salute to the past Lazar Jukic, allowing mayhem. Lazar Jukic for so long, a CrossFit mayhem athlete, out in front. They wound up taking the heat and event victory. Fast forward to event 2, it was CrossFit Oslo Krieger Riz. That is a huge engine and endurance team that out of heat 2 picked up the victory. And then there's never been an oceanic team on the podium. How about CrossFit Torium? They win event 3, and on day 1 pick up a 2nd place, 4th place, and 1st place to put themselves on top of the leaderboard overall. It's a 12-point advantage. I can't do math. That's an 8-point advantage over CrossFit Mayhem. Raw Iron CrossFit Mayhem Thunder is in 3rd, and then CrossFit Oslo Krieger Blast is 47 points off of the podium. All right, Anna, let's talk about what we're looking at here in event 4. The Earthworm is back.
There it is, and the teams will do 20 earthworm cleans and then 60 handstand push-ups between the 4 of them on 2 different stations. So it's actually 120 handstand push-ups. They'll move back to the earthworm, perform 20 cleans, and then back to the wall. This time strict handstand push-ups. The reps drop down to 40 per station, 20 earthworm cleans. This is where it's going to get interesting, Joel. Each athlete has to perform 10 freestanding handstand push-ups in 5-rep increments. Time cap of 15 minutes. This high-skill 10 freestanding handstand push-ups, I assume, is going to be the bottleneck for a lot of these teams.
Well, you just said it, high skill. Talk about our steps to success. How do you get through it?
The first one is going to be handstand push-up management on the front end. So on those kipping handstand push-ups, on those strict handstand push-ups, if you've ever done them, you know that if you overdo them, you are in a massive deficit. So you need to make sure that you're managing them between team members. And then on those freestanding handstand push-ups, you have to utilize the tripod. If you try to put that head straight in between those arms, it is not going to work.
We have a field of 8 teams in this opening heat. CrossFit Marvel is in lane 2, qualifying out of the Asia semifinal. CrossFit Oslo Pixel in lane 5, one of the 3 Oslo teams. CrossFit Oslo, one of the biggest boxes out of Norway, which has become one of the biggest countries for CrossFit outside of the United States. The Rhino CrossFit Dogs are captained by Raf Durand, though. There he is, right dead center of your screen. He was on the demo team for CrossFit back in 2021, and at the CrossFit Ranch, shattered his wrist on a clean. The injury was so bad that doctors told him he would never walk on his hands again. Not only does he do that, he is back at the CrossFit Games, and he's about to do a whole heck of a lot of handstand push-ups. Lauren Smith caught up with him.
30 seconds.
Thanks, Joel. I absolutely did. We had a very intimate conversation yesterday about what it actually means to him to be back on the competition floor. And he said it's all about the team. And I think especially in the time that we are currently experiencing this competition, it couldn't be more prevalent. The support system and the family that the Rhino team have is all the more important today.
Lauren, thank you. Raf Durand is one of those athletes that competed at the Games back in Carson as well. He was on the team for NorCal CrossFit Redwood that finished 4th back in 2017. He was a replacement on that roster for some guy named Jason Kalipa. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, not big shoes to fill at all, right, Joel? No pressure on Raf to fill those shoes.
All right, so we are underway with the Earthworm. The worm is dead. Long live the Earthworm here. This is a more interesting evolution of the implement we've all come to know and love in CrossFit. 4 sections, 100 pounds are the female portions of the sandbags, 125 are the men's portions. You can see CrossFit Butcher's Lab again taking the 1-minute pause at the beginning of this heat in memory of Lazar Jukic. Got 20 of these earthworm power cleans from the ground up to the shoulder. Katie, the hardest part about this is getting it off the ground. Now you got to do it repeatedly.
Right. And the athletes are going to do 10 in this first section, and then they'll walk the earthworm forward and do another 10. And if coordination of your team was ever paramount, this is a time when it's so important, because now, yes, the worm is connected by the rope, but each athlete has to clean their own weight. You have to lift your own weight, and it wasn't always like that with the worm. You could kind of fudge who kind of lifted a little more and who lifted a little less. Here, everybody has to pull their part.
Butcher's Lab jumped out about 8 to 9 reps behind the rest of the field. They're on the top of your screen in lane 9. Oslo Krieger Pixel. Handstand push-up should be their jam here. Ingrid Tondal is this team's captain. She's the partner of Avendal Ringard, who was on the Oslo Navy Blue team last year. He's their coach. She is phenomenal at handstand push-ups. She's also coming off an appendectomy, though. 8 weeks of recovery immediately after semifinals. She was cleaning 60 kilograms back in July. Now she's at the CrossFit Games. Almost to the first round of handstand push-ups.
And you can see they all have that Dukic jersey on, and GoRuck made it known to all of the CrossFit athletes that are competing this weekend that if any of them wanted to wear a Dukic jersey, that GoRuck would make them a jersey. So I think you'll see a lot of athletes today choosing to don that jersey.
Especially out of the European region, which is such a tight-knit community. And it is Oslo Pixel, spelled PSL. Did joke with Ingrid Tondal that they were going to get called CrossFit Oslo Pumpkin Spice Latte, which gave her a good laugh. It's almost that time of year. All right, handstand push-ups here.
This first set is kipping handstand push-ups, or basically any way you want to. I'm going to assume most all teams will choose to kip. There are 2 stations that these 4 athletes are accumulating 60 reps on. Some part of their hand has to be on that white piece of tape that you see on the floor, Joel.
And look at Ingrid Tondal go in that black shirt center of your screen.
So fast.
You just have to get the reps done. They don't have to do split even. I wager a guess she's going to probably do the vast majority of that pair, although she kicks down and switches back.
Well, on handstand push-ups, it's important that you don't go to failure or even to fatigue, Joel, because this isn't a movement that if you go too far, you will not be able to recover from. And so these athletes are probably very deliberate in how they're splitting up the work, depending on where that fatigue factor lies for them.
There's a 15-minute cap on this event. They are 4 minutes in. And if you can bring
so fast
handstand push-ups back down to like the affiliate level here for me, because I feel like when people walk into a CrossFit gym, this is one of those movements that they would say, I can't do that. Why can they?
Well, I think that there is a massive amount of strength and skill that needs to be built. So as an affiliate owner, as a coach, I would never just throw somebody upside down and have them start doing kipping handstand push-ups. It's a sexy movement for sure. It's something that a lot of are going to want to do. But again, there's a significant amount of strength that every athlete should have before they do attempt to do a kipping handstand push-up. One of the first things, though, that is really great as an affiliate owner, as a coach, is to just get somebody upside down. There are so many people out there that have not been inverted on purpose in a really long time, and that's probably one of my favorite things, is to just get somebody upside down for the first time.
The first handstand kip up or kick to the wall.
Yep.
Second round of the earthworm power cleans here. 20 of them, again, advancing every 10 reps.
Here's what I love about this event, Joel. There's a huge team element to it. Obviously, right here, we see these teams having to work together on the worm. And then there's a great team element where they get to share the reps on the handstand push-ups. But then there's also an individual contribution element. And that means that each teammate has to pull their own weight by doing the freestanding handstand push-ups that we're going to see at the very end of this event.
3 more reps before advancing here for Oslo Pixel. Leon Wagenacht is at the front. Andreas Updahl is behind, joined by Ingrid Tondal and Veshlemoy Kolstad. This is CrossFit Training Think Tank, captained by Jordan Adcock, multi-time teams athlete. Also made her games debut back in Carson. She's at the back of this earthworm.
It's important to note, Joel, there are cuts looming after the next event today. So these teams have got to do well if they're going to move from this third heat to that final heat.
As originally structured, we were supposed to cut down to 10 teams for tomorrow, operating under the assumption that that's still going to be the case. Oslo leads the pack here in our opening heat of 3. 20 more teams still to go. If you're in this opening heat, though, and you're trying to get into the top 10, you gotta move. So points are at an absolute premium over the next couple of events.
I love what Butcher's Lab has said about their team, which is they're the strongest where the outcome is determined by the weakest. I think this is an event that is going to highlight who on your team is the weakest, who holds you up on those handstand push-ups. And it sounds like Butcher's Lab is confident in their ability to get through the work.
You want to build on that too, Annie. Butcher's Lab started a minute behind everybody. They have almost caught up to everybody. Let's go down to Lauren.
So I've been speaking to the Butcher's Lab crew over the last couple of days, and that 1 minute that they're continuing to do to pay homage to Lazar is just part of it. They have actively said this isn't a competition for them. This is a show of solidarity and a tribute to him, and I think there's something really special in that as well.
Butcher's Lab team currently 8 reps off the pace of Oslo Krieger Pixel, who's heading back to do more handstand push-ups. Annie, it's going to look a little bit different this time. Now we have 40, and they are strict. 40 handstand push-ups strict per station, so 80 total.
Right, and one of the things that the judges are going to be looking for here is that their legs stay straight while they're against the wall the entire time. So any bending of those knees and hips is going to be a no rep. This is definitely where these teams really need to manage their fatigue factors. So if you can only get 1 or 2, that's what you should get. It's when you really start to slow down and have to push hard, you need to get off the wall because your recovery is going to be so much greater if you take it to a point of failure.
15-minute time cap. We are past the halfway mark. After the 40 strict handstand push-ups, it's 20 more earthworm cleans and then 10 freestanding handstand push-ups. We'll talk about that more when we get there.
Little no rep there. I'll never forget Stacy Tovar in regionals one year. There was strict handstand push-ups, and while a lot of athletes were getting sets of handstand push-ups, Stacy chose to do singles. She would kick up, do a single, get back down off the wall, kick up, do another single. But because she never went to a point of failure, she did, I'm not going to say she won the event, but she did really well in that event with that strategy. And I think that's a smart strategy that some of these teams may want to think about.
40 strict handstand push-ups. We are at the middle part of this event. 3 rounds of handstand push-ups in an elevated level of degree as you move. Kipping, strict, and then freestanding.
Important to note, Joel, we have never seen freestanding handstand push-ups for teams at the CrossFit Games. So we're going to see which one of these teams has been doing their homework and practicing elements that, even though it hasn't been in team competition, could show up in team competition.
AR1 Mayhem Unity is the team at the bottom of your screen. Melina Rodriguez, their most decorated athlete, had the pink weight belt on. They are right ahead of Oslo Krieger Pixel right now. Victoria CrossFit also has a lot of work to do at the front of the pack. Came in 26th place overall. That AR team at the bottom of your screen came in 25th place. I know had higher hopes after qualifying second in the Copa Sur semifinal. came in with 8 previous CrossFit Games appearances. Melina Rodriguez and Maria Quintero having qualified as both the Argentinian and the Colombian national champions. Represented by 4 different countries that all moved to Argentina to qualify on that team. 3 more reps you can see for Pixel on the right side of your screen. Training Think Tank is in the yellow in the middle, out of Marietta in Georgia. They have 4 more reps, 1 more for Pixel. Third round of the Earthworm. Advanced up for Oslo Pixel. They have 10 more, and then they are done with that implement for the remainder of this event. The time cap is going to start to loom here. It's 3 minutes away, and the most difficult or the most high skill movement is still ahead of these athletes.
Right, those freestanding handstand push-ups. And they're basically staring down their lane at those 2 sets of 5 pads that they're gonna have to hit with their head. If they miss a rep, Joel, they have to come down and start again. So if they get 4 and fall, they have to start over. It has to be 5 without their feet touching the ground.
So it goes back to your Stacy Tovar point where her strategy was 1 at a time. You don't have that option here. It's 5 at a time or you are starting again.
Exactly. But having said that, if they were smart on the wall earlier, the shoulder fatigue, they minimize their shoulder fatigue, which is gonna help them out when they come to these freestanding.
155 reps in the bag for Oslo Krieger Pixel.
AR1 and Vittoria on their heels though.
15-minute time cap is gonna nip some teams here. Just 2 minutes away.
So this is where some strategy is going to come into play, Joel. You need to send whoever is going to be competent at these freestanding handstand push-ups, you need to send them through first because every rep is going to count when it comes to a tiebreaker.
90 seconds left. And finally, someone is going to get to the freestanding handstand push-ups. It is CrossFit Oslo Pixel. And this is smart. Take your time. Andreas Opsahl is going to be the first man to attempt. He is a full-time electrician, and he is going back to the start of the line.
This is something where if you need to take a second on your head, it's worth it.
Vegetable Kolstad with 1 more rep. She can go backwards. Good job to collect herself. And across the line, she's good. Interesting strategy point. Ingrid Tondel, who we talked about being their best handstand athlete, is last in the line. And Opsahl's going to go again. Remember, he was first.
Great job from Opsahl. So as long, that's totally legal, Joel. So as long as his feet don't touch the ground, great use of the tripod. He put his knees on his elbows to steady himself.
This is Kolstad, who finishes.
They have their 3rd athlete through the first section of handstand push-ups.
And the time cap hits with no one finishing all 10 freestanding handstand push-ups. But it is Oslo Pixel that makes their way furthest in the first heat of event number 4. Let's run it back to start things off on the Earthworm. I gotta be honest, Andy, I like this thing.
Yeah. That's because you haven't put your hands on it, Joel. You could see this was definitely a huge coordination of effort, and it was Pixel that took the early lead on that Earthworm. They did a great job walking it forward every 10 reps. They caught a lead, and then they kept that lead on the wall, doing a great job of not only the kipping handstand push-ups, but the strict handstand push-ups. And then it was here where they really made their move. Like you said, Kolstad being able to get through both sets of 5 freestanding handstand push-ups. That's 10 huge points on the board for Pixel.
Cap plus 12 is that number to beat, but plus 22 for AR1 and 23 by Rhino, who we